Park at the start of the season, a derelict wasteland, but from the rubble and ashes a palace has evolved, a palace fit for a king, one John and his men can certainly be proud of, a Premier setting, and it's expecting Premiership football. The reins of the club have been passed from Peter Johnson to Frank Corfe. If Johnson laid the foundations, then Corfe's task now is to carry on building.
I was alongside Peter for 7 years here, and we came here when it was in trouble, and when Peter went, we were nicely placed to progress further, and I hope shortly he'll be sitting on the other side of the aisle from me at a Premier Division match. We don't want to be the poor relation in there, and I think this stadium now will grace the Premier Division.
But Tranmere just seem unable to win on a Sunday in front of the cameras. Look at Port Vale last week when they lost 2-0. Perhaps a little divine guidance might help the cause. The Tranmere chaplain is the Reverend Alan Poulter. We paid a visit to hear his thoughts.
We have to remember, of course, that we do win occasionally on Sundays, even on television.
When?
20th of May 1990.
Which was a Sunday?
Wembley. And it was, of course, the Leyland DAF Cup final. I did the 2 morning services here, left at 11:15, down there in good time to see the match, thoroughly enjoy it and revel in the victory.
The Lord of Tranmere is missing at the moment. No John Aldrich for John King, at least for a few more weeks. Yet there's still a positive feel.
Well, we've come from the depths, the 4th division, and we've gone into the 1st division, and we've knocked on the door 2 or 3 times. And I keep saying the same things. I hope that we're big enough and good enough to bang on the door really hard and make it open for us.
Because King's been so successful, his fans have big expectations. They're all looking for the right path to salvation in the Premiership. But in football, as in life, you have to draw the line somewhere.
But I would never get on my knees and plead with the Almighty that we win.
Not even if they needed 3 points for promotion?
Not even then, no. I think it would be much more that they would do their best. That it's a great game, which it is a great game. And let's hope the end product is what we look for.
In 5 years, Tranmere haven't had a prayer on Sundays. You wouldn't believe the determination to rid themselves of their camera shiners today. Last week's shambles at Port Vale was their 10th live televised tie in first-class competition without a win. It's basically the same cast. Gary Stevens is suffering with a back injury, so Dave Higgins replaces him. John Aldridge is still a week away from the game, so Ian Muir and Chris Malkin, who passed a very late fitness test, are striking partners. Well, they'll be trying to hold Gerrard, 22 today, and his value is increasing with every game. He marshalled the defence, which has belied its reputation for giving goals away. But last week's 0-0 draw with Sunderland extended an excellent run, only 1 defeat in 9 games for the Latics. The team virtually selects itself. Graham Sharp is forced to become a non-playing manager because of injury. Nicky Banger replaces him. It's a North-West referee for a North-West derby, Jim Parker of Preston. I think you know him quite well, don't you, Lou?
I certainly do, Rob. He refereed at Stoke one day and sent 4 players off, booked about 5, got himself into a bit of trouble. But he's mellowed a little bit now, you know.
Well, it should all add to the entertainment. We're hoping for a much better match than the last time they met in the Granada match live early in November. That day the score was 0-0 and not too many memorable moments. So it's Oldham Athletic in the luminous orange away strip against Tranmere Rovers in all white kit, and it's Tranmere straight on to the attack. Chance in the opening seconds for Ian Muir. Good shooting practice, but the linesman's flag is up, even though Liam O'Brien doesn't appreciate that. But boy, are they determined to bury this Sunday bogey.
That was a good early ball from Tony Thomas. Almost beat the Oldham defence first time round. Richard Graham got it. But as Liam O'Brien just plays it through again, you can see Ian Muir is just straight offside. I think he'll be pleased with that anyway, because he missed the chance as it turned out.
Ian Muir, who's standing in for John Aldridge, and he'll have to stand in a little bit longer with Aldridge looking as though he could be out of first team action for maybe another 3 weeks. He's due to play again during the next 7 days. There's another golden oldie, Andy Ritchie, Oldham number 8, forcing Tranmere onto the defensive. Andy Ritchie, 34 years of age, and still going strong. Long throw in there, headed away by Higgins. This is O'Brien, but a few nervous players down there. kick from Nixon, a good early kick, caught the Oldham defence on their heels. Redmond, captain today for Oldham Athletic. Balls for Gunnar Haller. Now Nicky Banger has a point to prove to the new manager Graham Sharp. Richardson. We said last time these teams played that there should be a bag full of goals given their reputations, but it's been a much brighter start for the opening couple of minutes of this game. Pat Nevin up against Chris Makin, the Oldham right full-back, the England under-21 star. Easy catch for Paul Gerrard, the birthday boy. Graham Sharp, and alongside him is former Everton manager Colin Harvey. Jim Beglin has done very well, hasn't he, to go from being one of the workers to being one of the bosses.
I think so. Well, Graham Sharp to start with has a wealth of experience to rely on from his playing days. 10 years at Everton, and he's picked up everything there is to be known about the game. But I think he made a wise move in taking Colin Harvey on as well. It's nice to have somebody who's had some managerial experience, somebody you can trust and you can't.
Yeah, especially, Jim, when you're out there playing yourself. It's very difficult to be out on the pitch playing, controlling the game on the pitch and off the pitch. And obviously that's why he's brought Colin along to do that off the pitch for him.
I even remember in my Liverpool days, Lou, when Kenny Dalglish took over as player manager, Bob Paisley stayed around for a while to advise him. It's a good system.
Well, my first job in management, Jim, was at Swindon, and I went there as a player manager. And after about 4 or 5 weeks, I realised that I couldn't do both jobs. Some people will say I couldn't do either.
He hasn't done a bad job. Lou Makara is the only manager to come here in the league this season and win a game. Tranmere have the best home record in the Ensley League, having won 10 of their 13 home matches, best scorers as well. And Oldham are in a real run of form at the moment. They've won 3 of their last 4 matches, including Stoke City.
Well, I think Tranmere are well aware of that today, Rob, because we know they were extremely poor against Port Vale last week. They put that right in midweek, beat Bury 3-0 in the FA Cup, and today they've started with a very high tempo and they're trying to get at Oldham every chance they get early on.
Ian Muir, who's just trying to get behind the Oldham defence. That's 3 occasions now he's been in an offside position. Twice it's been given against him. A sly kind of player who is indeed the record scorer at Prenton Park, even more than John Aldridge in his time. 170 goals in 9 years and still going strong. Haller's head on. The Greel, not a particularly good clearance. Kenny Irons just steadies the play, looks for the pace of Malkin. This is Muir. Nevin wants it out wide on the left wing and receives it. Now Tranmere move forward in numbers. A completely different team at home. Already we've seen more football from them than we did at Vale last week, and Steve Redmond had his work cut out, but the Oldham captain doing a good mopping up job back there. Tapping from Kenny Irons on Lee Richardson. He's the man who's going to bite like the chairman's dog in midfield.
Well, Kenny Irons and Liam O'Brien, the middle of midfield for Tranmere, between them last week, didn't get too many tackles in, and already the signs that they're trying to put that right.
Well, as we've already said, Jim, they're a different proposition at home. I came here with Stoke City and we beat them, but to be fair, on the day, as well as we played, Tranmere had a number of chances. At home, they're a real force to be reckoned with, and I think today they're going to break the TV jinx that people say, that everyone's told us today. As a result of Granada being here, there's a jinx on Tranmere. I think it's going to go today.
Well, if anything, the performance last week might serve them well. In hindsight, they know they can't lower their standards anymore. They've got to try and keep things going now if they're serious about promotion to the Premiership.
Chris Malkin, who is doing 100-yard sprints well, 45 minutes before the game in an effort to ensure he was 100% fit to play this afternoon. Leading scorer in the team with 13 goals. Brannan gives the ball away to Richardson as a chase for Baines, but played back from McGreal, and Eric Nixon keeps his feet well. Ian Snowden, the former Evertonian. It's not a bad ball, it has some backspin on it, and well, it was a back pass. So I'm sure Eric Nixon will disagree with that. A real argument going on between Nixon and centre-half Higgins.
I think Nixon was probably calling for McGreal to leave it completely there because he'd committed himself and he couldn't stop. And I think the reason why he handled it in the end was because he thought maybe McGreal's intended pass back could have found its way into the net.
I think you're spot on there, Jim. It happened so quick. Eric Nixon couldn't afford to let it go by because his opinion was it was going to end up in the back of the net.
So a free kick in a very, very dangerous situation. Handball, but indirect free kick, and the Tranmere two-man wall closed down Mark Brennan's attempted blast. Mark Brennan, who's keeping a more experienced Rick Holden out of the side. The Tranmere back on the defence. In fact, they've left 3 men on the halfway line. It's 1 for 1 inside the 18-yard box. Play again, not a bad cross, and Jed Brannan not at all sure where that clearance was going. Tranmere are slightly susceptible from set pieces. Oldham do have the big men in there, but the control of Nicky Banger lets him down. Only his second start since becoming a fully fledged Oldham player. Did well on loan, but hasn't really set the world alight since he joined them from Southampton, Lou.
No, and at Southampton in the reserves especially, he was a regular goal scorer. The manager brought him to Oldham hoping he would continue on, but that's been a problem for him, getting the goals. I think once he gets his first goal, though, we'll see a different Nicky Banger.
And a good reason for not making it at Southampton. He was kept out first of all by Alan Shearer and then Matthew Letizier. Erin Nixon, the sweat is off after giving away that free kick. He was really hoping nothing came of it. Well, it wasn't his mistake, to be fair, it was the defenders. The referee had a very good view of that. He was only 5 yards behind play. John Morrissey feels that Lee Richardson got away with a crime there.
Well, it looks like the referee has mellowed, because certainly to me Lee Richardson seemed to charge into Johnny Morrissey's back and didn't play the ball.
Without a doubt, Jim, 12 months ago he'd have been in the book for that.
Tim Parker gained a bit of a reputation for producing yellow cards. Indeed, he's emerging as one of the country's top referees, it has to be said. Andy Ritchie looking out left where Poynton had made a run, but McGreal just slows play down there. Trying to get Pat Nevin into the game as often as possible. That's a good ball from Nevin. Kenny Irons, the ball's behind you is the cry for Richard Graham Clares. Derek Nixon takes control. Flag stays down. Chris Makin doesn't seem to know where the ball is. Oldham, who made a magnificent start to the First Division campaign. They were top by the end of the first month of the season, but in October and November they went on a terrible run of 9 games without a win under the previous manager Joe Royle, but since Graham Sharp's taken over, their form has improved immeasurably. You're looking for Morrissey. That's really testament to the new pitch that they've laid down at Brenton Park. A year ago that would have stuck in a puddle.
Yeah, it gives you some idea how good this pitch is now compared to a year ago.
Big mistake by McGreal, but he He's so assured he gets himself out of it. Kicks the ball away again. Now Snowden. Macon. Turn from Richardson. Macon again. Closed down by Irons. Ian Snowden now in his mid-30s, bringing experience to this Oldham team. Youngsters like Banger, the 21-year-old. Very good defending from Jed Brannan to Muir. Devin, a long ball over the top, looking for the pace of Malkin.
Clever defending from Redmond. He's just sitting off Malkin that little bit every time, and he knows where the striker's going to go, and by doing that he can anticipate what kind of through balls Tranmere are going to try and get past him, and he's read them well so far.
Throw in to Tranmere. It's Richard Graham, who's played left wing, centre midfield, and now in the absence of Richard Jobson, he's centre half today. Offside flag is up. Referee spots it. But it's difficult for Graham Sharp in that he's got a team that's doing well, but it selects itself because of the injuries.
Right, that's true, Robin. I'm very interested to see the performance of Richard Graham. He started off as a midfield player this season, and I thought he was an exceptional midfield player, a player for the future. He's back now at centre half, and I'm not too sure if you can put midfield players back in centre half position against people like Malkin up there. But I'll be interested to see how he copes with that position. But I do think he's an outstanding midfield player, and a lot rests on his shoulders today to keep this Tranmere forward line at bay.
Probably stand him in good stead in the long run though, Lou, because I mean if you get the experience of playing in a few positions, and we know he's versatile, I mean if you're ever required to do anything like that in future years, you'll always have the experience in your head.
Andy Ritchie. All over the top from Graham. Bullet of a header away from John McGreal.
There's just not very many players though, Jim, that can adapt to different positions on the pitch. And I think that's the interesting thing with the lad Graham. You know, can he adapt to a centre half position as well as he can do in midfield?
Redmond. Poynton looking for Ritchie. Malkin's little flick on. Muir is waiting to pray, but cool customer Graham. McGreal. Well read by first of all Graham, and Macon gets him out of trouble. In the Premiership, Oldham had a terrible reputation for giving goals away. Joe Royal's philosophy was you score one more than the opposition. There were a few 4-3s and 3-2s in their time up there. They've had a number of 0-0 draws this year, Oldham, as they go on to the attack through Haller. Waiting for the shot, comes in from Macon. And a brilliant goal for Chris Macon, and I think I'm right in saying that's his first ever senior goal. And not a bad one to start off with. Chris Macon, who can play right back or left back, and who knows, Graham Sharp might earmark him as a centre forward now with strikes like that.
Yeah, it's a tremendous strike there by Macon, but all the good work down to Gunnar Haller, over on the far side, playing in a position he's not very well used to. He's normally a right back, he's in that outside right position, twists and turns, lays a lovely ball back to Macon, and it's in the back of the net.
And it was the simplest of moves, because the other left back, Neil Poynton, he was the one that started it all off on this near side, played it into middle to Andy Ritchie, eventually it found its way out to Haller, and once he set up Chris Macon, there was only one place it was going. That's a great strike.
Chris Macon, one of the many youngsters who have come through the system at Oldham Athletic, and it looks like they've found another little diamond. Well, they'll be reliving that goal again and again and again.
I think when you get in that position, I think you've got to try and concentrate on most. When you see a lot of players in front of you, it's just to make sure you have it somewhere between the posts. He probably wasn't exactly sure where it was going himself, but he did the most important thing, and it found the net.
Should Eric Nixon have been beaten on the near post, Lee?
Well, as Jim said, I think it's a good lesson to all young players. First and foremost, you must find the target. When Chris Macon struck that ball, he didn't know it was going to go in the near post. He concentrated on getting on target. Eric Nixon, possibly in the wrong place, but it's in the back of the net, and Oldham are 1-0 up.
Well, I think Eric Nixon thought that he had all angles covered, but was beaten by the pace of a shot.
I mean, in saying that, the shot was pretty central. It wasn't at a bad angle that you could blame Nixon even more so for it. And I think the pace just purely beat him in the end.
Richardson to Ritchie. McGreal. Gunnar, who had a large part to play in that man Macon's goal.
I think Johnny King will probably be a wee bit dissatisfied at that, though. When you look back to the goal, I mentioned Neil Poynton started it off, and it worked all the way from left to right. Was set up for Macon, and Tranmere didn't get one tackle in the whole move.
Tony Thomas for Tranmere. A wasted pass, really. Higgins header. Back to the drawing board for John King. And a few sweaty palms and anguished looks on the Tranmere bench. Thomas. Tranmere messing around in their own final third of the field. It falls for Richardson. That's a much better tackle by O'Brien, but still it falls to Oldham. Danger. Lining up if he can get the cross in. Better defending from John McGreal.
Well, it's just as well he was alive to the danger, because Johnny Morrissey and Tony Thomas between them lost it when they should have been looking at clearing their lines.
It'll flick on, and it was a cheeky back heel from Richard Graham. Not a great deal he could do with the trajectory of the ball.
No, he's travelled all that way up for a header, obviously, from a corner kick, and he ends up showing his skill with a little deft flick, and nearly went and crawled in the side of the net.
Yeah, he may be playing centre back, but he hasn't lost the instincts in and around the opposition's goal.
So less than a quarter of the game gone. That's the number if you would like to guess the score. Enter the Guess the Score competition. 0891 4-0, 5-0, 8-0. Top prize of £200 and 5 pairs of football boots, which cost almost that much these days. You've got up until the first whistle of the second half to call that number and guess the score. Pat Nevin. Plenty of Tranmere players waiting for the ball, and nothing has fallen their way as yet. It's Oldham with their noses in front. McGreal will guide that one out of play. Andy Ritchie showing that in those veterans' legs he still has a little bit of pace. Gives John McGreal 12 years in experience, but a real handful still.
Especially when the ball goes near that penalty box. Andy over the years has been a tremendous goal scorer, and he really comes to life when the ball goes in and around that area. I mean, he was second favourite for that ball there. Ran past McGreal, got it back, and showed great determination in keeping the ball.
But importantly as well, there was, when Oldham are playing it forward, they're actually getting the ball behind the Tranmere defence. They're making them turn, they're putting them in trouble. Tranmere, anytime they've tried to play the ball forward, it's been headed away.
I think that's where today, especially, Jim, they're relying on Johnny Morrissey and Pat Nevin to get down those lines and do some damage for them. What they didn't do at Port Vale last week, I mean, in fairness, the two wingers last week were never in the game. I would expect them on their home ground to make up for last week's performance and go some way to helping Tranmere get a victory here today.
Especially in the middle of January, and pitches aren't perfect for passing football. Sometimes you just got to muck in and be prepared to do battle, and I think they probably realise that.
That maybe is a little bit of a problem to Tranmere at this moment in time. As nice as the pitch is, and we've commented on that, it's still a bit wobbly, still doesn't suit the Tranmere style of football, but they've got to overcome that, as you just said, Jim. Muck in a little bit more.
Steve Redmond, the Oldham captain, taking no risks whatsoever back there. So, a couple of occasions he's blasted the ball out of play. And the referee and linesman in unison believe that Gunnar Haller, his feet are a little high there, challenging Pat Nevin. Ball aimed for the far post where there's only Chris Malkin. He gets a good header in. It's better than that. It's an equaliser. Well, there didn't look to be a great deal of danger because Malkin was all alone at the far post, but he was the only man they needed, and it's 1-1.
Well, that was so simple. When the ball came in, it was purely Malkin's height that helped them score the goal. Steve Redmond was the one on the back post picking him up, and I felt Oldham probably should have had somebody a little bit taller back there to cope with Malkin's extra height. It's floated in the air for a long time, timed this jump. Redmond didn't. Back of the net.
So, Chris Malkin cancels out the goal from Chris Macon.
And that all started, Rob, with a foul from Gunnar Haller. 1 minute he's the hero, next minute he's the villain. Gives away a needless foul in the corner of the box. Free kick in, it's now 1 each.
I think if anything, when we see it again, Steve Redmond was already on his way down. He completely mistimed his jump. He jumped simply too early for it. He was on the way down, Malcolm was on the way up, and he was able to meet the ball.
Well, Chris Malkin had that fitness test before the game, sprung well.
Well, you can see there Redmond's feet were back on the ground as Malkin went to head it.
You try to tell Johnny King that Graham Sharp that he sprung well. He'll be tearing his hair out and losing a goal like that. 2 men at the back post marking one, and the one man scores a goal.
This is Morrissey, who's hardly seen any service so far. Malkin, a local hero. And Snowden uses experience to just calm things down. A quarter of the game gone, we have 2 goals, but neither goalkeeper's had a save to make as yet. Haller. Crafty flick for danger. John McGreel is having one of his good games. Fans on that side of the field thought the ball was out of play. The linesman's flag stayed down, and the referee had a good look, but it's fallen in Tranmere's favour almost. This is Graham. Slices the ball, and still John Morrissey is to receive a decent pass on the right wing. Pointing job has been quite easy. This is Liam O'Brien, and he tries to make things tick in midfield for Tranmere. That's a lovely pass to Muir. Tranmere really step up the pace, and second chance for Malkin. Oh, almost a penalty. Good save in the end from Gerrard. I don't know what Lou Macari is going to say in that kind of situation. He should have gone down.
Well, I was certain he was going to go down. But in fairness to Chris Malkin, he probably thought, well, there's a goal on here. I'm going to stay on my feet. I'm not interested in a penalty kick, but why he didn't go down, I'll never know.
He was too honest, Lou, wasn't he? I think he probably would have put it in the net, but his first touch let him down in the first place. But when Redmond came storming in like that, he had to go down.
A good honest player. That always got a manager relishes out there. But I think if he had gone down, there would have been no doubt about it, would there?
No doubt at all.
And I think you could have seen Steve Redmond go off too.
Dave Higgins, Horace Malkin up against Redmond again. This is Morrissey, two defenders up against him. Morrissey has a good record against Oldham. Scored a couple of cracking goals in the Cup a couple of seasons ago. Better play from Tranmere. Tony Thomas getting forward from the right back role. Chris Malkin maybe playing over that incident a moment ago in his mind.
Well, when the ball came in first, his first touch was a bit too strong, ran away from him a bit, but Redmond was very reckless in the lunge, and Chris Malkin will probably be regretting the fact that he didn't go down now.
We're not suggesting one little bit, Jim, that he should have went down and got a penalty kick, but in that situation he was almost brought to the ground, and it was only his honesty that kept him on his feet.
I think probably a more experienced performer, maybe if it had been John Aldridge in there, going to keep bringing Aldo up, but had he been in there, he probably would have taken it.
Well, especially as he takes the penalty kicks for Tranmere, he would definitely have gone down.
Flick from Ritchie. Banger making a menace of himself. So much of a menace that will be a corner. Oldham ahead on corner kicks. They've yet to make anything of one as Nixon comes very late, but he gets a paw to it, an important paw. Now Brennan. Cross to the far post. A little too high. And the danger's still not over. Macon flicks the ball. Banger. And Nevin will save the corner. Well, certainly Oldham Athletic haven't gone away from home to try and secure a draw. They're living up to their reputation as entertainers, aren't they? Point, and they have Tranmere backpedaling at the moment. Oldham been a good performance so far from both sides. Haller trying for the nutmeg on Dave Higgins, who kept his feet together.
Well, John McGreal did manage the nutmeg there. Andy Ritchie came to close him down, put it between his legs and cleared.
And the ball over the top, but well read by McGreal. Now Morrissey gets a pass. The white shirt streak forward, it's 3-on-3, but the pass wasn't good enough. Hyams, wide is Tony Thomas. The flag went up very, very late against Thomas, who, to be fair to him, I don't think was offside. It had to be one of the two men in the middle. Jim and Lou had a better look at that.
I think he probably was offside there. I think what Tony Thomas, he just felt that the ball was going to be played through. He was going to be in, looking to get it shot on target possibly, or maybe swing one across the 6-yard box, and he just didn't think for that vital second to look across the line, but he had straight offside for me.
Richardson. This is Poynton. Haller in space. But a whistle from the fans and a flag and a whistle from the officials. Haller trying to make up for giving that free kick away at the other end of the field, which led to the Tranmere equaliser. And there we see, well, was he offside when the ball was played? He was when he received it, but I'm not so convinced he was when the ball left the player's feet. McGreal. confident back header from Neil Poynton. And Steve Redmond has been a real pillar in the Oldham defence. Andy Ritchie. Danger has a run, but Ed Higgins gets back there. He's done well to get the ball to Agreel, and Higgins goes down in a bit of a bundle, and the first yellow card of the afternoon is shown to Nicky Banger. Justified, Jim?
I think so. It was a stupid challenge. Banger knew he was never going to get there, at least get to the ball, and Higgins was very comfortable, knew he had time, played it up the line, and there you go. He's come when the ball is played, and that's very, very silly to be booked for that. I don't think Graham Sharp can be happy with a striker there.
I think the big problem though, Jim, is 10 years ago a referee would have come over and said, now cut it out, pal, let's get on with the game. Now they all go into the book.
And it hasn't stopped them flying with tackles as Liam O'Brien wins the ball for Tranmere. Lovely pass over the top, it just has too much backspin on it, maybe not. And Pat Nevin had a real chase to keep the ball in play, and I think the momentum had taken it too far for Nevin to get the cross in. Liam O'Brien really getting stuck in the centre of midfield. He's the man who could really make things happen for Tranmere, isn't he?
Oh, he's a good player, Liam O'Brien. I think when he's on song, the rest of the Tranmere team's on song as well. He is the playmaker, he's a man that can split defences, and he can score a goal or two as well.
In fact, he scored 6 when Newcastle were promoted from the First Division a couple of seasons back. Neil Poynton is the long throw man in the orange-shirted team. He has Andy Ritchie's shaven head to aim for, but that's cleared by Thomas. Now Poynton with his feet. Haller. Good cross to the near post. Anywhere it has to be. So, 1 goal each. I wonder what the thoughts are down at touchline level. Let's join our reporter down there, Rob McCaffrey.
Yeah, pretty even, Stephen, as we were saying, with Rick Oldham, the Oldham substitute today, and the balance of power shifting between either side at the moment.
That's right. I think Oldham started off the better, definitely, and Tranmere have come into it since the goal.
The Tranmere are passing, so how important is it to break up their rhythm, to get at them?
Well, they're not showing too much evidence of that passing today. They're trying to turn them a bit, but yeah, you've just got to stop them getting it to the wide man, basically, because that's what they thrive on.
Oldham could do with another wide man, maybe on the left wing. Will we see in the second half, do you feel?
Well, I hope so, but lads are doing quite well at the moment, so we'll just have to see what the manager does.
All right, Rex, thanks for the moment. Back to you, Rob.
There's Tony Thomas for Tranmere Rovers. That's a good cross. Gerard leaps and catches well. But interesting to hear that Rick Oldham was saying there, stopping the ball, getting to the wings, but that's exactly what Tranmere managed to do then. Haller offside. Graham Sharp's tactics haven't worked entirely though, have they, Lou, so far? They have managed to get the ball to mainly the fullbacks, really.
Well, he's away from home though, Rob, and I'm quite sure going into an early lead, even at 1-1, he'll be reasonably happy. You know, not an easy place to come to Tranmere, and if you can get anything out of a trip to Prenton Park, you're delighted.
I think, as Rick Oldham said, they've obviously talked about the wingers in the dressing room before the game, and Johnny Morrissey and Pat Nevin so far. I've seen some of the ball, but not too much of it around the Oldham penalty box, and I think Graham Sharp will be pleased about that.
Morrissey to Nevin, who has swapped wings. He's on the right-hand side now. Gets in a good cross, but nobody there other than Macon, who clears. Thomas. Pat Nevin leaves one defender on the seat of his pants. Little flick through for Thomas, who could possibly had a free kick there. Determined to get the crosses in. Falls to Brannan. John Morrissey screaming for the ball is Nevin. Now he receives it. Thomas behind him, but I think Nevin is intent on getting the cross in. Falls to Thomas, but Banger stole it. Richardson steals it off Higgins, and the referee has to use his... Well, I was going to say there, he has to use his head, because I don't think Higgins actually meant to bring him down. The referee took a long look at it and then produced the yellow card out the back of his his shorts.
I think what's probably caught him is Higgins' arm. Certainly missed him with his legs, but it looked just as Lee Richardson was passing him, he put his arm up, and from probably where the referee was standing, partially unsighted, he thought he's pulled him down. I think Richardson played for it a little bit more.
That's a good ball in there, hanging up in the air, causing real kind of panic in the Tranmere back line.
I must say, Jim, as far as I'm concerned, the referee made a wrong decision there.
Malkin. Ian Snowden plays it back to Redmond. Another late challenge this time from Brennan, but the referee gives Tranmere the advantage. Lovely ball from O'Brien. Morrissey gets his head down, runs at the Oldham defence. He's beaten 3 players, he's beaten 4 players. Can't beat the goalkeeper, falls to Muir. A cry for handball, but I think it was certainly ball to hand rather than hand to ball against Chris Makin.
Well, you know what I'm going to say as a defender here. There's no way this could be handball. Morrissey done very well, jinked in and out, beat 2 or 3 players, and when he got the shot in, Chris Makin was just trying to turn away from it. There's no way he put his hand to it. I've been in that position many times myself as a defender, and I mean, there's no way that he's putting his left hand to that ball. It's just hit him. He's known nothing about it, and definitely not a penalty.
Did he make a good decision, Lou? God, he can even it out now.
Again, I think you've got to take the view as well, Jim, that hitting his hand, which it did, maybe stopped to get in the direction of Ian Muir, and it definitely did hit his hand. If we see it again, we'll be left in no doubt about it.
Well, I think in that instance, because it was a shot, it's probably going to go well wide, and I don't think it would have gone near Ian Muir, and I think the referee's done well. I'll stand up for him. I'm not surprised you saying that as an old striker.
The jury's out here.
The jury's staying out.
I shall reserve judgment. I always have an argument about a decision, the two of them. This is a cross from Brennan. Ball into the edge of the area. Richardson can hit them, but not on that occasion.
Kenny Irons did well. Lee Richardson had teed himself up. He was going to try and place it in the corner. Irons closed him down.
Hallam knobs the ball down to Richardson, but his control and his composure is letting him down a bit. Redmond flies in with a challenge. Makin for Oldham Athletic. Ian Muir. Andy Ritchie, who's really scored the goal since Graham Sharp took over, 7 in 7 games, his record. It's a good professional attitude from him because he actually wanted the manager's job. He hasn't gone away and sulked. The referee gives Oldham a free kick. Pat Nevin gets a foot in the way of the ball and has to give away the corner kick. Four and a half minutes to go to the half-time whistle in the Granada match live. Pat Nevin clears the ball. Underneath it, Poynton. Who's going to be underneath this one? The Tranmere defenders leave it to each other. Thomas eventually half clears it. Ritchie.
Got away with it. Always dangerous to let a high ball like that drop on the edge of your box. Communications were non-existent there between McGreal and Thomas.
And Oldham really haven't punished Tranmere for a few lapses at the back. Both of these sides have tough games against Premiership opposition in the FA Cup next week. Oldham away to Leeds, Tranmere Rovers playing Wimbledon. Of course, Oldham's season last year arguably hinged on their FA Cup run when they were seconds away from getting to the FA Cup final. O'Brien takes a deflection, and Oldham starting to step up the pace a little bit as they go for the goal, which could be oh so crucial just before half-time. Richardson, make it. Danger doing well, good control. Bring him, make it into the game again. Richard Brannan clears up at the back. Tranmere just can't get the ball beyond the halfway line. It's been all Oldham Athletic for the last few minutes. And there's a bit of a breathing space because the linesman's flag is up. Looks quite a player, this Makin. As a fullback, Jim, do you rate him?
Yes, I do. He's already an under-21 international. He's a hell of a good prospect. He's already scored a great goal today. He's pretty solid defensively, and he loves the opportunity to get forward. And I suppose, really, if with all that going for him, he's a chance to go right to the very top.
Ball reaches Chris Malcolm. That's a lovely little turn. Can he finish it off? Kicks his feet well under the challenge from Graham. Now Morrissey. There are 5 white shirts lining up. Long queue at the back post. The ball arrived at the near post. Jed Brannan gives the ball away. Pat Nevin has to come back and help out his own full-back. Seconds ticking away to the half-time whistle. What would you be saying in there, Lou, in the various managers' guises?
Well, if it was Johnny King, I'd be happy at the last 20 minutes of the first half.
Morris's cross as Muir launches himself at that. A few of the Tranmere players claiming that he was pushed from behind, but I think it just gave the Muir a little bit more momentum.
I'm not sure whether somebody gave him a helping hand there or whether he just tried to propel himself a little bit too much into the header. But certainly they were complaining about it because Makin's hand was actually up there. But whether he's done enough to push him over or not, I'm not sure.
The forward, Lou, is a definite penalty, wasn't it? Ref wrong again.
So. I think Makin's allowed 3 pushes today before the decision given against him.
Lee Macari, who will be the guest speaker at this year's Referee Society dinner.
Game has tended to to and fro a bit in the first half. Both sides have had periods of good possession and domination, but probably Tranmere have created
Nicky Baines, you haven't seen a great deal of him. Sorry, Jim, to cut off. I thought he was going to shoot then, but he took a little bit too long. We've seen that a few times from Baines, haven't we? He gets into those positions, but never quite has it in his mind to have a shot, Lou.
Well, that's been the story since he's come to Oldham. He's looked very dangerous in games. He's looked as if he'd get shots on goals, and it's never materialised.
I think, to be fair, it was a wee bit difficult for him there. He was confronted by a couple of defenders, and in the end he's done well to win a free kick, and this is going to be dangerous for Tranmere.
He's played him very early, and well, it was Banger who was on the end of it. It was a pure reflex header, but the wee man got under the ball. If he'd been a few inches taller, he'd probably have headed it down, wouldn't he?
Well, it was fiercely driven in, and when it's coming at that speed towards you, it's difficult to try and judge it and keep it down, and he got underneath it slightly, and Eric Nixon was never going to be in trouble.
Into the time, Mr. Jim Parker decides should be added on for stoppages. Haven't really been many injuries. A few of the Oldham players asking Mr. Parker how long there is to go. They seem slightly more desperate to have a rest at half-time than Tranmere. It's been a good, lively, entertaining game. And we have the feeling there should be a few more goals in this. records from both sides to be broken today. We all know about Tranmere's dismal record in front of the cameras on a Sunday. But Oldham have had a good start to 95. They haven't lost a game yet this year. And at half-time, it's not bad. Not exactly in their favour. Chris Macon gave them the lead after a quarter of an hour. A bullet of a shot from the young right full-back. But Chris Malkin equalised for Tranmere with a quarter of the game gone. So, half-time score at Prenton Park is 1-1. Let's hear from the Tranmere manager, John King, who's talking to Rob McCaffrey.
Should be happier at this point than you were last Sunday.
Well, every game's different, isn't it? You know, but again, we're still not satisfied at all. We've got to sharpen our game up and get our passing right. Our passing's sloppy. The final ball's not good enough. We're getting into good positions, but we should be doing a lot better.
They've really cut off the supply to the wingers again, haven't they?
I think we're getting enough balls out there, but again, having said that, I think if you analyse it, the final ball's been poor. If we get better balls, beat the first man and get the ball onto the back post, and I think we'll get a little bit of joy.
The Sunday bogey there, do you feel?
Let's hope so.
Thanks a lot.
What I'm saying is he tried too hard to stand up rather than take a deliberate dive. So no ungentlemanly conduct from Chris Malkin. Right, the game has restarted. 1-1 it is. Let's have a quick word with Rob McCaffrey first.
Graham Sharp, happy with the way things are going?
Yeah, delighted to go in the lead. We're disappointed in the goal we conceded. Again, unnecessary foul given away, and we've lost the goal. I think we're in difficulty because it's our own mistakes. But if you keep going at them, I fancy ourselves. But it's going to be a difficult game, but we'll just wait and see how it goes.
See how it goes, Graham. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Graham Sharp talking to Rob McCaffrey at touchline level. John King, the Tranmere manager, has made a substitution at half-time. Liam O'Brien has gone off, and the old stager, 36-year-old Steve Mungle, comes on for the second half. Hopefully we'll find from Rob McCaffrey why the substitution has been made in a moment or two. But in the meantime, a free kick in a very, very dangerous position. Jed Brannan catching Gunnar Haller right on the edge of the area. It could be Mark Brennan to take this with his left foot, or Snowden could put it in. It was Brennan with a shot, the wall well placed. So we hope plenty more goals in this Granada match live. We've heard that Liam O'Brien is suffering with a hamstring strain. That's why he has been taken off. And Tranmere have rejigged their team. They've kept Brannan at left back and moved Mungle into a central midfield role, which is going to be a bit of a loss for them, losing one of their playmakers. They're not doing badly down this left touch line. Snowden puts the ball out of play. Ian Snowden just doing a holding job really in midfield for Oldham, up against his former Everton teammate Nevin there. This is Thomas. Going to be a bit of a loss though, isn't it, to Tranmere losing Liam O'Brien, Luke?
Well, about 10 minutes before the whistle went for half-time, I just noticed Liam O'Brien in the centre circle, sort of hardly moving around, and I just wondered at that time if he did have a problem with his hamstring. But he's got an adequate replacement in Steve Mungle.
Well, that is interesting. In the first half, the referee gave Tranmere a free kick, or gave Oldham a free kick for a back pass, and this doesn't look dissimilar.
I think what he's judged here is that Neil Boynton actually tried to control the ball and miscontrolled it. It ran on, and the keeper's come out. So I think the referee's probably right there in deeming that not an attempted back pass.
Luke? I was waiting for you to disagree with Jim there.
These are awkward decisions. If we didn't have the rule, we wouldn't have this problem, would we?
This is John Morrity for Tranmere Rovers, who are determined to get into the game in the second half. He was so quiet in the first. Higgins controls the ball on a pitch which has held up well. It hasn't cut up at all despite some torrential rain over the last few days on the Wirral. Kenny Hines looking for the shot, looking for Nevin. Lovely turn from Nevin. Determined to get the cross in. Behind him was the number 5, Jed Brannan. They may have had a better angle to put the cross in. But Nevin gets a corner at least. Tranmere, of course, scored from a set piece in the first half. This isn't a bad one, but Richard Graham just got his forehead to the ball. And again. John Morrissey with a neat little trick. And a corner for Tranmere.
Well, the first corner was almost a classic. Lovely ball in from Irons. Great flick on near post from Jed Brannan. Unfortunately, they didn't have somebody coming in on the end of it.
Morrissey. Ball falls for Brandon, and there's his Dave Higgins. And of all the people that it should fall to in there, that was possibly the wrong one. Dave Higgins, central defender, who isn't the most composed in front of goal, but an encouraging move.
I'm not sure how he missed that. I don't think he knows himself, because when the ball came back in from Brannan, and he played it in beautifully, Higgins just thought, all I have to do is get my foot on this and it's into the back of the net, and I think he's as surprised as anybody.
I think he approached it with his wrong foot, Jim. In there with his right foot, and it would have been a goal. But he decided to let it come onto his left foot, and as a result the chance went missing.
It's a case really of getting into habits, though, and a defender's habit is to put that over the bar, isn't it?
That's the intention, Rob.
This is Nicky Banger. And John McGreal's well-timed tackle gives Oldham a corner.
I think wrong foot or not, though, Lou, I think in that position he still should have been looking to get the ball between the posts instead of up in the air.
You're saying that, Jim, because if you'd have been in that position with your left foot or your right foot, it would have been a goal.
Everybody scores them in the stands. Eric Nixon stays on his line. Oh, great save from Nixon. The tiptoes of a ballerina to flip himself backwards and fingertip that over the bar.
I think Eric Nixon did extremely well to adjust his feet. The header comes in from Gunnahala, it's looping in the air. He drops the first time but manages to get back, and that's a very, very important tip over at the last minute.
Nixon comes again, gets there just before Hallett. An important fingertip again. Snowden over the top, Danger's offside. So it's looking more favourable for Oldham at the moment, who would go 8 if they win today, upper place, above Grimsby. Teetering just on the edge of the playoff zone. Tranmere, if they draw, would go above Reading into 4th position by virtue of scoring more goals. This is Nevin. Tranmere trying to play football from the back. Maybe a little ill-advised to do that. That's an Oldham throw, surely. Makin with the throw. Jed Brannan, who scored 2 goals against Oldham in the Coca-Cola Cup last year. Referee, no more than a yard and a half away, sees that Gunnahala should be given the corner kick. Oldham have been dangerous from these corners. Nixon has had to come for most of them, and again it's a combination of head and gloves to get to that one. Richardson puts it back in. There is an offside, and it's been down to some pretty good organisation at the back from Tranmere. Because Graham and Redmond have come up from the back on a number of occasions. And it's looked 1 or 2 times that Oldham may get a goal from a set piece.
But you've got to sympathise with Eric Nixon on Oldham set piece corners, because the ball's been played into the near post. They're very, very good. They're giving the Oldham strikers a chance of getting that flick on, and it's impossible for Nixon to come and collect.
Lee Richardson has was accused of obstructing John McGreal, the former Halifax Town player who made his name up in Scotland with Aberdeen. Cost Oldham £250,000 in the summer. Kenny Irons, homegrown Tranmere talent, to Mungle. This is Malkin. That's a corner. 2 and 9, the two scorers. 2 for Oldham, Macon. 9 for Tranmere, Chris Malkin. We've seen a few variations on the near post corner theme. This is another near post corner. It's Redmond, the defender, who gets the header to the ball. Feet high from Irons. The referee judges it's okay and cleared outside the 6-yard box as Malkin was ready to swoop. Irons. Cross to the far post where Malkin again was unmarked. Morrissey wants a corner. And I think Chris Malkin only saw the ball late then, because as the cross came in, it looked like he had a great opportunity to get ahead on it.
Well, this was just waiting to be put into the back of the net, right across the 6-yard box, but it was the defender, Neil Poynton, who was first to react, and he did well to clear.
2 chances within the space of a few seconds for Malkin then. Beaten by Higgins, who puts the ball had a play that he didn't know a great deal about it. Danger thought that he'd been fouled from behind. Haller. Skill from Brennan. And again Brennan, but on his wrong foot. We've seen how much power is in the feet of this man. Macon hits it well with either right or left. And he's got a corner. He was farmed out to Wigan Athletic for 3 months, Chris Macon, to get experience 2 seasons ago. Did extremely well there. Wigan wanted to sign him, but Oldham wisely held on to him. What a player he's turned out to be. Brennan's corner, away screams the goalkeeper Nixon. Kind of half cleared. Mungle helps it on. Now Pat Nelling puts out the ball. Morrissey wants it long behind the defenders. It carries, but Redmond has had a very assured game at the centre of the Oldham defence. Danger. Andy Ritchie taking up the Predators' role in the centre. Higgins with a sliding tackle.
Well, it's beginning to look a little poor for the strikers now, because both defenders seem to be well on top. Any time either set of strikers try and create something, defenders are winning the challenges.
Ian Snowdon for Oldham. Was it a shot? Was it a cross? The big men have stayed in there. Richard Graham is planted on the penalty spot. If Haller can make the cross, Danger goes in, got there first. But it was too difficult to get the ball on target. The former Saint, Nicky Banger, who hasn't found goals easy to come by in the First Division. I think he scored 13 goals in 12 games for Southampton's reserves last season. It's just been difficult making that transition.
I think by now though, Rob, Oldham are going to be the far happier side, because for me Tranmere as the home side should be looking to do a lot more than they're doing at the moment if they're going to win this game.
Richard Graham to the left foot of goalkeeper Gerard. Thomas. Richardson, good play in the centre of midfield. Richardson had been taken out of the game. The referee, I think, had intended to give Oldham the advantage. They keep the ball rolling through Haller. Over the top, Haller's onside. But in his efforts to steady himself, he couldn't quite gather his momentum.
I've been impressed with Gunnar Haller today, Rob. He's popping up all over the place. He's been given a role on the right side of the pitch here. He's normally a right back. He's popped up on the left side of the pitch. He's popped up in the box. He's created a goal. But unfortunately, he's given a goal away as well with a silly free kick.
I always think that it's a sign of a good midfielder, Lou, and he's not prepared just to sit there all day. If the play isn't on his side, he'll go in search of it at times. As long as he doesn't lose his discipline along the way, I think he's having a very good game.
The ball is aimed for Chris Malkin at the far post. He wins the header. The Grill. Anywhere will do from Brennan. Onto the head of Higgins. Now the substitute Steve Mungle for Tranmere. That's quite a defence slicing pass. Shoulder to shoulder, the old shoulder charge from Macon. Higgins is pulled back by the referee. Five orange shirts strung across the 18-yard box. Randy Ritchie. Yeah, he wasn't badly placed, but just a little bit too much pace on the free kick. What a great buy he was from Leeds United. It was about 6 years ago now. 100 goals he scored for Oldham since costing £55,000. He's worth more than that today. Charged down by Ritchie. It's amazing when you look at patterns, how things come about every year. Tranmere Rovers traditionally dip around this time of the year. Last season, second at Christmas, 9th by March after only 2 wins in 12 games. At the same time, Oldham were going on a run of only 1 defeat in 13. They're looking to extend the run today as Haller tries the shot, a good save by Nixon. Gunnar Haller cutting in well from the right-hand side, and Nixon has certainly been the busier of the two goalkeepers. A very good save, holding onto the ball well. Brannan for Tranmere. Now Nevin. Skips around Haller, he has the space to get the cross in. Tony Thomas has some fire in those boots when he wants to have a shot. McGreal, Nevin's free. He wants to get inside that 18-yard box. Well, a real wasted opportunity. Either Pat Nevin should have had a shot or put in the cross there, and it was neither. But Morrissey has kept it in play. Thrust to the far post. Malkin gets up, but Graham was there. I think Pat Nevin will be regretting that one, Luke.
Well, I can't believe Pat Nevin, of all people, did what he did. He's got probably one of the best goal-scoring records for a winger in the country, if not the best. His record is quite unbelievable, but there he decided to take the easy option, just float the ball into the middle, instead of going all the way and having a shot at goals.
Kenny Irons' corner. The goalkeeper slips, and thankfully for him, it came off the head of Gunnar Haller. Liam O'Brien having a laugh and joke on the Tranmere bench after receiving treatment for a hamstring strain. And the Irons cross again, and the goalkeeper saw it late. Good corners these.
Very good. Difficult for the goalkeepers to see in the first place, but Gerard did very well there. Kept his eyes on it right till the very last moment and grasped it well. Just had a shot, Liam O'Brien down on the bench. Of course, he's gone off injured, and I think he was chatting to Mark Proctor down there, and the game is crying out for one of those players to be on the pitch again. It's crying out for somebody in midfield to stamp their authority on things, make things happen again, and I think the game could do with some sort of a boost now.
A goal would do. This is Gunnar Haller, who tried his best a moment ago. Brannan charged down by Haller again, who has plenty of support if he can provide the right pass. Riches at the far post. And Nicky Banger just can't get off the mark for Oldham Athletic, no matter how hard he tries.
Another example of how hard Gunnar Haller is working. He's been everywhere today. Got a good block on Brannan, got away down the right-hand side. And then not only, once he got into that position, he didn't just whack it across. He's held it up, he's looked up, he's seen Banger in space. I think Banger, had he not snatched on it and just taken his time, he would have seen that McGreal had committed himself, jumped in the air, and he probably would have given himself a lot more space to pick a spot.
Richard Graham, who's been very impressive in that central defensive role for Oldham. Snowden to Graham. Banger. Was he fouled? The referee says not. Certainly a tackle from behind by McGreal, but the referee was only a few yards away. The game is lining itself up. This is Macon. Snowden. Higgins lets it go. So convinced there was a call from Eric Nixon behind him. Graham Sharp, who's had this very impressive record since taking over, must be happy. He's only lost one game since becoming a fully fledged full-time manager of the Latics. Haller. Snowden. Dave Higgins has a look. He's screaming for somebody to make a run upfield, but nobody there. Nobody showing willing. Hines has given the ball away. Now Banger. He has a chance. It's one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Can he steady himself? Not enough. And the second chance. Great save by Nixon. But it has to be said, Lou Macari, a very bad miss by Nicky Banger.
Well, in the football that he's come from, which is reserve team football with Southampton, time and time again, I saw for myself Nicky Banger in similar positions. The ball always ended up in the back of the net. I'm just starting to wonder whether he can handle this football, because that was an easy chance, especially for someone like Nicky Banger.
We'll see a replay of that in a second, but it's Tranmere who are trying to punish him for that by getting a goal of their own. Tony Thomas. Put out by Poynton. And there are gaps opening up all around Prenton Park now. You have that feeling a goal is imminent. Andy Ritchie. Haller. Good shooting position if he can get it on his left foot. No, he can't. Higgins was aware of that. Snowden tries a shot, and to be fair, Nixon was never going to be troubled with that. It didn't have the power.
Well, it didn't have the power, nor did it have the direction. He knew what he was trying to do, trying to get it inside that right-hand post, but he played it too straight, and Eric Nixon was easily able to get down. I think when you look back though at that great Nicky Banger chance, it was a marvellous save from Eric Nixon, but the movement up front for Tranmere was absolutely terrible. First Dave Higgins was pointing for somebody to move, and then Kenny Irons was robbed. Nobody moved for him either, but once Banger got in this position, he should have been finding the net, but Nixon's done very well to get his right hand down.
Should have scored, Lee.
Well, he should have scored. Had he had a few goals under his belt, Rob, with a great deal of confidence behind him, he probably would have scored, but he's finding that goal elusive.
And that's the kind of thing that makes your head sink even more lower, I suppose.
Referee gives Oldham a free kick, which they thought about taking quickly. Let's go to Rob McCaffrey at touchline level.
Well, Jim Beglin was saying that they need someone in midfield to stamp their authority. With that, John King's put Steve Mundell to left back and moved Jed Brannan into midfield to just try and get some rhythm going for Tranmere. He's on at them all the time. Get the passing going. Nothing just clicking at the moment.
So a change of tactics from Tranmere. Is it going to work, Lou? Is that what you would have done?
Well, there's still plenty of time, Rob. 20 minutes, a lot can happen in 20 minutes. I think we're tending to write off this game now as a 1-1, but on this pitch, with these two types of teams we've got here, one break, one mistake by anybody, and someone's going to win the match.
Corner to Oldham Athletic. Can Oldham make something of the countless corners they're getting? They've done well on them without an end product. That's probably the worst they've had all afternoon. Neil Poynton. Still the big men waiting for the cross. Haller can't turn. He's had a great game, Connor Haller. He's been signed up on a new 3-year contract by Oldham, so even if Lou was thinking of making a bid for Stoke, it cost him a pretty penny. Richard Graham. It's a hit and hope, but no hope really.
I'm surprised at half-time, Rob, when Liam O'Brien went off, that Steve Mungle didn't come on at left-back then and Jed Brannan go in the middle of midfield, because I feel that's Brannan's best position. He loves nothing better than to back the play up by making late runs into the box. And over the last couple of seasons, he scored some marvellous goals for Tranmere doing just that.
Pointed. It seems quite evident that Oldham are trying to get the two forwards behind the Tranmere defence, but every pass they've hit in the last couple of minutes, they've gone too far, haven't they?
Well, that's right, but the pressure's on Tranmere. They're the home side. They're the team that's expected to win today, being at home, and really they're trying everything now. The switch wingers, Johnny Morris has come over to the left here, Pat Nevins shot over to the right, and Johnny King's going to try anything in the last 20 minutes to get a result.
Outside him is Pat Nevin, who swapped wings with John Morrissey, though neither of them has received a great deal of passes today. This is better from Tranmere. Into the near post. Muir is sniffing. And a very, very timely tackle from Ian Snowden. The danger's not over as Thomas gets in the cross. And Paul Gerrard will be happy to see that ball nestling in his gloves. More encouraging for John King's men. But what a great tackle that was from Ian Snowden. Similar position really to the Oldham goal in the first half, which found its way into the top left-hand corner of the net as the goalkeeper looked at it and it flew past him. Ball is given to Neil Poynton, who has a good throw. Takes it short though. Out of the game, it's cleared by Thomas to Snowden. Richardson. This is making. Rich's pass almost found him, and instead it's left Tranmere exposed at the back, and the referee has been consistent. He's booked a couple of players for similar offences, and Andy Ritchie gets a yellow and goes into the book as well.
I can't believe Andy Ritchie is pleading with the referee there. Morrissey was clean away from, and again he just dived in, knew he had no hope of getting it, and deserved to be booked.
Baines was offside, but the referee keeps the game rolling. Just over a quarter of an hour to go. It's all level at Prenton Park. Tranmere's Sunday afternoon bogey continues. Bad news is they're playing on a Sunday next week as well. Cross from Brennan. There's Muir. There's the goal. And the deadlock is broken. Ian Muir, the first thing he's done all afternoon. And boy, does he do it well. Tranmere's all-time record scorer shows them all how to do it. One chance, one goal. And just like old times for him at Prenton Park, the man who's standing in for John Aldridge, ideally placed and beautifully finished.
And the change in play has worked because Jed Brannan was pushed into a more forward position, got to the byline, lovely little cross back, and Ian Muir couldn't really miss from there. But it was also a great little ball from Tony Thomas in behind the Oldham defence.
But the action's not over. Ian Muir's 6th goal of the season. Amazing, Lewis. We've seen nothing of him for 73 minutes, then all of a sudden he pops up.
Well, that's Ian Muir, Rob. You know, week in, week out, that's Ian Muir. He gets a goal out of nothing. And of all people to be in there, the one man you would want in that position would have been Ian Muir. I never felt there'd be any danger once the ball landed in his head.
Ian Muir's 6th goal of the season. And the Tranmere player is down injured. It was Dave Higgins who really was self-inflicted as he went in for a very brave challenge on Mickey Banger and got a bang to the head. Right then, I bet it's happier times down on the Tranmere bench now. Standing by it is Rob McCaffrey.
Yeah, how's your luck? Because John King was thinking about bringing Gary Jones on for Ian Muir within a couple of minutes. But I spoke to him in the week and he said the one thing about Muir, he maybe doesn't run around as much as he used to, but he's always liable to get you a goal. That's why I leave him on for those extra few minutes, and he's certainly come up trumps there, Rob.
Well, he may need Gary Jones, who can play centre forward or centre half. If Dave Higgins doesn't get up, it looks like a nasty head injury. But here's the goal again.
Classic Tranmere, quick passing, get a player to the byline, good cross back, and when you put it on a plate for Ian Muir, he's only going to do one thing.
Well, he has a phenomenal scoring record, Ian Muir. He's only actually started about half a dozen games this season. Similar last year, he scored 7 goals in 10 appearances. Meanwhile, it's not looking good for Dave Higgins, who's been led from the field with an injury to the side of his head. He's always in the ward when the TV cameras come here, Dave Higgins, but such is the character of the man, he'll probably have a couple of stitches and be back on.
Rob, we can't blame the TV cameras for everything. Dave Higgins been in the walls, Tranmere never winning.
It's like somebody's going to play in the vest down there.
Steve Mungle has gone into his 3rd position since he's come on in the second half. Started in midfield, went to left back, and now he's playing at centre back while Higgins receives treatment.
Ian Muir, the man of the moment, who has breathed some fire back into the Tranmere bellies with that very well taken goal. Meanwhile, Tranmere are down to 10 men as Dave Higgins receives treatment inside the changing room. Hanging on at the moment with the substitution. Gary Jones is just limbering up. Don't think there's much chance that he's going to come on as yet. But Oldham will make a substitution as soon as the ball goes out of play. Rick Holden is tying up his laces on his socks. Meanwhile, here is the man who could be going off for him. Andy Ritchie's won a corner kick. Will Holden come on? He takes most of the corners for Oldham. Graham Sharp is just taking his time. And he'll leave the 11 as they are. Now, will this one-man advantage for Oldham making a difference here? Oh, good catch by Nixon. Very important catch. He can just hold on to the ball for as long as the referee will allow him. And Dave Higgins is back on, but a great catch by Nixon, who's done extremely well on these near post crosses. And Andy Ritchie flying in there just in case the ball was dropped. Dave Higgins is patched up and back in the thick of the action. 10.5 minutes to go. Graham Sharp has decided to give tricky Ricky Holden a game, and Lee Richardson comes off. What do you make of that, Lou?
Well, they're chasing the game now, Oldham, all of a sudden from being very comfortable. The away team quite happy with their point. Now they've got to go and get a goal to get a draw out of this match.
Rick Holden, who started the first 3 matches under Graham Sharp, but clearly didn't impress his pal because he's been substitute for the last 7.
Well, on his day, Holden, he can cause havoc for any fullback, and I think Oldham will be looking to get the ball to him at every opportunity now to try and swing those great crosses that he can produce in the hope they can get back into this game. Mark Brennan has just come inside. He'd been playing wide on the left, but he's just gone into a more central role now to allow Holden to slot in on that left side.
Malkin wins the header. It falls to Brannan. Muir. Now Nevin. Nothing else Ian Slurley could do other than give away the corner. In their eagerness to score an equaliser, Oldham must be careful at the back. Tranmere do have a good record of scoring goals. They've hit 3 or more goals on 8 occasions this season. Comes off Haller, cleared by Graham. Not a particularly well-directed header. Tony Thomas fouled by Ritchie. Can't afford to argue with the referee. He's already had 1 yellow card. Taken very, very quickly. Muir couldn't steady himself. Malkin went down. We'll maybe see that again in a second. Malkin claims that he was pushed. The referee's back was to Malkin. He was keeping up with play. And Malkin is incensed there. He feels that he should have had a penalty. At best, it should have been the linesman who gave it. This is Ian Muir to Brannan. Mungall makes a run down the left-hand side. Brannan has a couple of options. This is Mungall. Mungall is fouled. Morrissey. It's 3-on-3. Oldham are leaving plenty of players in attack, but again the pass forward wasn't what is required. Graham Sharp has sent Ritchie, Holden and Banger into all-out attacking roles. He's not hiding the fact he's desperate for a goal with just 7 minutes to go. So, should Tranmere Rovers have had a penalty a moment ago? Here is Chris Malkin's video evidence. Would you have given it, Lou?
Well, it all started with a quick free kick played to Ian Muir, and long before the ball got to Ian Muir, I saw Chris Malkin falling over, and I thought to myself, well, is that a slip? Is it a penalty? It's a bit difficult to see from that angle there.
Well, it looked as if it was Neil Poynton who just clipped his ankles, and I think he hit the nail on the head. Tranmere were first to react from the quick free kick. Oldham defence was a little on the slow side, and Poynton, to me, seemed to just clip his ankles. Difficult for a referee to spot it, though.
Well, hopefully we'll see it again in a second. Chris Malkin was incensed. He chased after the referee. Quite clearly thought that he should have had a penalty, which I think he would have taken as well.
I think in the first instance, I don't think the free kick should have been allowed to go ahead, because it was a rolling ball when Steve Mungall played it through.
Malkin's header on. Ian Muir gets a foot in. Falls to Morrissey. looking for a shooting opportunity, just knocked off balance at a vital moment. Nevin for Tranmere. To Steve Mungle, the old stager. Muir. Nevin again, that was handball. Oh, dear me, the referee says no. Never far from controversy, Mr. Parker. Eric Nixon has to play sweeper and takes the ball out of the area. Well, they didn't give one handball, but Nixon's momentum took him out.
That was the wrong decision. That Eric Nixon should have known with him going so fast that he wouldn't have been able to gather the ball in his hands and keep it inside the box. He should have been looking to kick that.
Eric Nixon will put in those gloves together and hoping that nothing comes in. This McGreal clears the ball off the line. Well, Nixon's heart was in his mouth then. Quite delighted that nothing came of it, but the danger's still not over. It's a corner to Oldham. The set pieces have been promising without an end product. Nixon leaves that one, Ritchie comes in late, and Higgins, with a patch over his eye, heads the ball out of play. There are 7 orange shirts in there. Malkin, the centre forward for Tranmere, gets back and helps out. The shot from Snowden off the back of Irons. The goalkeeper already gone for that one. A thrilling finale at Prenton Park, but the sting taken out of the game as Tranmere have a throw-in. Eric Nixon, well, could so easily have given away a free kick in a very dangerous situation here.
Well, the referee's been very lenient today towards Eric Nixon. An incident in the first half that we know about, another one in the second half, quite clearly outside the box.
Meanwhile, at the other end of the field, Chris Malkin had his feet taken away from him, and Tranmere having free kick in a central position. This is how it happened. Steve Redmond getting his left foot around the back of Malkin's knees. Jim and Lou are considering their man of the match. It could be somebody who hits a 35-yard shot from this free kick. John Morrissey fancies it. So does Kenny Irons. He puts some power behind it. But off target. Valuable seconds tick away. And that's in the favour of Tranmere. So, will they break their Sunday TV duck? John King and co. Ball runs away from Rick Holden. Well, that certainly looked as though it should have been a goal kick, but the linesman is flacking for something. The referee is going across to clear up exactly what, and the linesman, not the referee, has given a free kick in Oldham's favour. Oldham rushing every free kick, but there's no rushing Eric Nixon. Could have thrown his goalkeeper's cap on that one.
Well, Rick Holden threw his arms up in the air when he saw Nixon catch that. I think he felt that Oldham should have had a player attacking the front post.
The Tranmere fans finding good voice. They believe with just over a minute to go they've sewn this game up. In goes Morrissey very strongly. Ian Snowden has had an excellent game in the centre and midfield for Oldham. He has been I was going to say goodbye, he cost nothing, that's an even better signing from Graham Sharp. This is Muir, on for a second goal, teases Graham. Irons squares the ball, and a good shot, what a good goal from Jed Brannan. That's it for Oldham. And Tranmere at last are happy to have the TV cameras here, and Jed Brannan in particular happy that that goal was captured on video.
oh, we've been very fortunate of late in live games. And once this came across Brannan's path, he made up his mind early, he was going to hit it. And that's a cracking strike. Keeper can do absolutely nothing about that.
Yeah, we witnessed a great strike last week at Port Vale. Equally as good today.
Only Jed Brannan's third goal of the season. He hit 11 last year, but he was playing in a midfield role. And John King's tactical switch to move Brannan from left back to centre midfield has ultimately paid off.
Well, it's changed the whole game. 1-1 when he made the switch. Brannan created Tranmere's second goal, and he's gone and scored a third. It's changed the whole game.
Man of the match, Luke, who's it going to be?
Well, I think Gunnar Haller's played exceptionally well today, and considering he's normally a right back, I think he showed that in his 90 minutes today that he could equally play well at outside right. I've been very impressed with him. He's popped up all over the pitch, and it's been obviously a good signing for Oldham.
And he's been so determined, even when it's been quiet on the right-hand side, he's gone in search of it all over the place, and he's wanted it more than any other player on the pitch. Very lively performance for him. Definitely man of the match.
This is Nicky Banger for Oldham Athletic. Can't keep his feet. And Tony Thomas blasted into the stand. We're into stoppage time now, and how Nicky Banger must be ruining those two opportunities that he had to give Oldham Athletic the lead. Whack towards the head of Richie, who gets out of there. What a great save by Nixon. An amazing save by Nixon on 2 counts. Nevin. Wow. I was level with that, and I thought he was onside. But at the other end of the field, what a save for Merritt Nixon.
I think when Tranmere look back on this game, they'll have to thank their goalkeeper. He's made 2 outstanding saves now, the first from Banger, and that time the header from Richie looked goal bound. He's got his left hand across, tipped it onto the woodwork, and somehow they've kept it out. That's marvellous goalkeeping.
Tell you what, Lou, I think he meant to get his knee there as well. It looked at first as though it just happened together, but I think he actually got a knee-jerk reaction, if excuse the pun.
Well, he got everything in the way there. First his hand, then his knee. A great save from Merritt Nixon the first time, and an even better save the second time.
And there we go, the final whistle of a pulsating, entertaining game, which Ian Muir really showed up with Tranmere's second goal with 15 minutes to go. The bonus for Tranmere was the third goal with, what, a minute and a half to go from Jed Brannan. A blaster master, and Tranmere have finally buried the TV bogey. They finally won in front of the cameras. We will be welcomed in the lounges here at Prenton Park after the match, instead of having to make the quick clear off. And the happiest man on the Wirral this evening is the Tranmere manager, John King. He's talking to Rob McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's just blown his cheeks out as well. But finally you've broken your Sunday duck.
Yeah, well, we're pleased about that because, again, it's been one of those hard-working games where it could have gone either way at most of the game, and we needed a goal. Whoever got the second goal was going to win the game.
Do you think the secret was maybe moving Jed Brannan into midfield, switching Steve Mungle to left back?
Well, we had to do something. You know, I mean, we wanted penetration down the flanks with Nevin and Brannan, and we weren't getting it. Mungal had come into the middle of the park for Liam O'Brien. So we just had a bit of a swap because we knew that Jed could get in the box, and he's made a great run, and he's pulled a brilliant ball back from Muri, and then he's capitalised on things by making a great run again and then firing that ball unstoppable top corner.
You're going to be knocking on the door, do you feel, come the end of the season?
Well, again, when you get games like that, which was a real worker, and we've not played, we've always done, we've worked hard, and we know that we can play an awful lot better, but it's nice to win.
A happy Sunday. Thanks very much, John.
Pleasure.